Have you ever heard the saying, revenge is a dish best served cold? Well, in the cutthroat world of corporate business, sometimes it's served in the fine print of a contract worth $375 million. This is a story of how one seemingly insignificant clause, buried deep within a mountain of legal documents, brought a colossal deal crashing down, all thanks to a carefully planned act of corporate revenge. Our story begins with two powerful companies. Let's call them Titan Industries and Apex Innovations. Titan, a giant in the manufacturing sector, was looking to acquire Apex, a smaller but incredibly innovative tech firm that had developed a groundbreaking piece of software. This software was set to revolutionize the entire industry, and Titan wanted it. They wanted it bad. Negotiations started, and at first, everything seemed to be going smoothly. The CEOs of both companies, let's call them Mr. Harrison from Titan and Miss Chun from Apex, had a history. They had worked together years ago at a different company, but their partnership ended on a sour note. Mr. Harrison, known for his aggressive business tactics, had allegedly pushed Miss Chun out of a lucrative project, taking all the credit and a hefty bonus for himself. Miss Chun never forgot this. She was a brilliant strategist, and she believed in playing the long game. As the acquisition talks progressed, the price was set. A staggering $375 million. Titan's legal team, a group of high-priced, confident lawyers, drafted the initial contract. It was hundreds of pages long, filled with standard legal jargon and complex financial arrangements. They sent it over to Apex for review. Now, this is where things get interesting. Most people, even seasoned executives, don't read every single word of these massive contracts. They rely on their legal teams to flag any major issues. Mr. Harrison was no exception. He was focused on the big picture, the glory of acquiring Apex and its game-changing technology. He trusted his team to handle the details. Miss Chun and her small, meticulous legal team at Apex knew this. They knew that large, overconfident legal teams often overlook the smallest details. So, they decided to make a few minor adjustments to the contract. They didn't change any of the big numbers or the main terms of the deal. Instead, they added a single, very specific clause, buried deep in an appendix related to post-acquisition operational procedures. The clause was brilliantly simple and deceptively harmless. It stated that for the first 180 days after the acquisition, all software updates and patches developed by the original Apex team would require the unanimous, in-person, written approval of a newly formed Innovation Oversight Committee. And who was on this committee? The clause specified it would be comprised of 5 members, 2 from Titan and 3 from Apex, including Ms. Chun herself. You see what's happening here? Unanimous, in-person, written approval. That means if just one person on that committee didn't agree, or simply didn't show up to the meeting, nothing could move forward. No updates, no bug fixes, no new features. The software, the very asset Titan was paying $375 million for, would be effectively frozen. Titan's legal team, in their haste and arrogance, skimmed right over it. It looked like standard procedural language, a bureaucratic formality. They gave it the green light. Mr. Harrison, eager to announce the biggest deal of his career, didn't give it a second thought. The contracts were signed, the champagne was popped, and the press releases went out. Titan Industries had acquired Apex Innovations. The deal was done. Or so they thought. The first few weeks after the acquisition were a honeymoon period. Integration teams were formed, and everyone was excited. Titan was eager to start rolling out the new software to its massive client base. They had promised their investors and customers a seamless transition and rapid innovation. Then, the first critical software patch was needed. It was a routine security update, something that normally would take a few hours to deploy. Titan's tech team prepared the patch and, following the procedure outlined in the contract, called for a meeting of the Innovation Oversight Committee. 2 executives from Titan showed up. 2 of the appointed members from Apex also showed up, but 1 seat remained empty. Miss Chun was nowhere to be found. They called her office. Her assistant informed them she was on an extended international business trip and was unreachable. Without Miss Chun, they couldn't get unanimous approval. They couldn't even hold a valid meeting because she wasn't there in person. The patch couldn't be deployed. Days turned into a week. Titan's systems were now vulnerable. Their customers started complaining. Mr. Harrison was furious. He ordered his legal team to find a way around it. They scrambled, poring over the contract they had so confidently approved, and there it was, staring them in the face. Clause 117b, subsection 4. Unanimous, in person. Written approval. There was no loophole, no. There was no loophole, no work. It was ironclad. They had been completely outplayed. Panic set in at Titan's headquarters. Their new $375 million asset was useless. It was like buying a brand new Ferrari with no keys. The value of the software was plummeting with every passing day. It remained stagnant. The market got wind of the trouble, and Titan's stock price began to slide. The media, which had celebrated the deal just weeks earlier, now ran headlines like Titan's tech blunder and $375 million disaster. Mr. Harrison tried desperately to reach Miss Chun. His calls went unanswered. His emails were met with automated out-of-office replies. Finally, after 2 agonizing weeks, Miss Chun reappeared. She calmly agreed to a meeting. When Mr. Harrison confronted her, seething with anger, she simply smiled and pointed to the contract. "It's all there in the agreement you signed, Mr. Harrison," she said. "We're just following the procedure you and your top-notch legal team approved." In that moment, he knew. This wasn't a mistake or an oversight. This was a calculated move. This was revenge for what he had done to her all those years ago. She had waited patiently, built her own successful company, and then, when he was at the height of his power and arrogance, she used his own weapon, the fine print, against him. The situation was untenable. Titan couldn't operate the software, and their reputation was in tatters. They were hemorrhaging money and credibility. They had no choice. They had to come back to the negotiating table. But this time, they had zero leverage. Miss Chun and her team essentially forced Titan to renegotiate the entire structure of the deal. They demanded that Apex be spun back out as an independent company, but with a massive cash infusion from Titan as damages for the operational disruption. They also secured a long-term, highly favorable licensing agreement, meaning Titan would now have to pay Apex a fortune just to use the software they thought they had bought. In the end, Titan Industries lost millions. Their stock took a massive hit, and Mr. Harrison's career never fully recovered from the humiliation. The board was furious, and he was eventually forced to step down. And Ms. Chun, she walked away with her company intact, a huge injection of cash, and a lucrative long-term contract. She didn't just win. She rewrote the rules of the game. She proved that in the world of business, it's not always the biggest player that wins. Sometimes, it's the smartest. And it shows that you should never, ever underestimate the power of a well-placed clause and a long-held grudge. The lesson here is a powerful one. Always read the fine print. And perhaps more importantly, be careful who you cross on your way to the top. You never know when they'll be in a position to write the contract. Thanks for watching, everyone. What do you think of this corporate revenge story? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the wild world of business. See you next time.